So this probe is Algebra 1 AA, sorting rational and irrational numbers. So the first thing you have to figure out is what is rational and what is irrational. So rational numbers are numbers that can be put into fractions, plainly put, and irrational are essentially decimals that go on forever and ever and ever. Think of pi, think of like the square root of 2. Generally, when you're dealing with square roots, all right, as long as it's not a whole number when you put it in your calculator, that's going to be irrational. So here, 2, okay, notice it doesn't appear to be a fraction, but it is because I can put it over 1. So like 2 over 1 is perfectly fine. Or I could think of it as, 4 divided by 2 is 2. So that's going to go right here in the rational. Negative 3, I'm going to think about it the same way. I could write that as negative 6 over 2. And then here, 2 plus this negative 3, that 2 is also going to be rational. And the reason for that is when you add two rationals, you get a rational. Okay? Here, notice I was talking about the square roots. Okay? So I'm already feeling like this is going to be irrational because the square root of 39, all right, it's not a perfect square because I know 36 is a perfect square. So 39 is not a perfect square. So this is going to be some type of decimal. Okay? If you don't believe me, go ahead and type it in your calculator. 5, well, that's rational. And then if we have a rational times an irrational, well, that's going to be irrational. Okay? Notice again, if you just break it down, notice there's a square root right there linked with the 5. So again, that's going to be a different way to look about that as being irrational. All right, here, okay, square root of 15, you got to ask yourself, is that a perfect square? And the answer is no, it's not. Because the square root of 15, okay, it's not a perfect square because the square root of 16 is a perfect square. All right, so 3, well, that's rational, just like 5 was in the last problem. And a irrational times a rational is going to be irrational, okay? Again, I told you about pi earlier. If you were listening, pi is irrational. So negative 7 plus pi, that 2 is going to be irrational. And then that leaves us with negative 7 is just rational. Last one here, 8 is rational, pi is irrational, negative 8 times pi is irrational. So that's how you do it. All right, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask.